from the heart of Dubai, where tomorrow is being built today, to the world. Welcome to the CTO Show with Mehmet. Here, we redefine technology and reimagine possibilities. With Mehmet, delve into the riveting realms of AI, cybersecurity, and digital technology. Experience the thrilling highs and lows of startups. Immerse yourself in the spirit of entrepreneurship and witness the future of business innovation being written in real time. Now, without further ado, let's tune in and explore the future.
Hello and welcome back to a new episode of the CTO Show with Mehmet. Today, I'm very pleased joining me, Luis Garcia, who is the founder of Peat. So the way I love to do it, Luis, is I keep it to my guests to introduce themselves. So tell us a little bit more about you, what you've been up to, the journey, and then we can take it from there.
Oh, certainly. Thank you, Mehmet, for having me here. My name is Luis Garcia, as I said. I'm the co-founder and president of Peat. And Peat stands for Personalized Education, Training, and Enrichment. We are an AI-powered learning tools for workforce learning. And what that means is that we take any corporate knowledge and translate it into courses automatically and put them into a learning management system for employees to take their courses and also to do assessment or evaluation of learning. So this in practical terms, what it means for companies that do not have the resources to hire a training department with instructional designers and trainers and all that, and a learning platform. And usually companies that are between 50 and 500 employees is when the need of having a formalized training program comes up. And so what we have observed is that companies that at that level, when they're growing fast, and tend to tap into their leaders, their experts, to become the trainers of what they know, and they realize that creating a curriculum material is a lot more difficult than they thought, and so we build tools for them to do that translation of their expertise into curriculum materials, and to facilitate that process, and then the courses land in our platform, a learning platform, and where the learners can take the courses and also then reevaluate it. So personally, I come from the world of technology and education, and early in my career, 25 years ago, I started as a programmer. I was a programmer for a few years, and then I got into project management and product management, and eventually to general management, and got into education a little bit by accident in the early 2000s, and I've spent a full career of 19 years at Postal University, and starting new initiatives for the university, one of them being the online version of the university, which I founded and grew to over 1,000 employees, so 12,000 students, degree-seeking students, and which in the education world, that could mean this particular operation was $180 million top line and yearly revenue. And so I have taken my expertise into technology, brought it into education, have a lot of business expertise also developed over the years, and now I'm with a tech startup.
That's fantastic and great. I would say very rich experience and background, Luis. Now, like a couple of things, of course, we're going to discuss today, but the first thing I want to, let you elaborate on. You just touched base on it, of course, very quickly, but if we can like deep dive a little bit. So, like at Peat, you focused on using AI to optimize workforce learning, right? So first, like, let's elaborate what are like the challenges today that organizations are facing and how you would leverage technology like AI to enhance these training programs. And, like what are like the direct benefits that organization can see when they adapt your solution?
All right. So I'll tell you a story. This happened to me a few times as I grow organizations into the hundreds. So when you start an organization from scratch, you're learning as you go, and that you hire more people, and usually the transfer of knowledge becomes very organically. So the first person trains the next person, and so on and so forth. And as the organization grows and just become more specialized, then it becomes more difficult to do this transfer of knowledge that is organic. And so then you have to start saying, well, I need a course. I need at least onboard people, teach them about who we are, what industry is, what the job is, prepare them to be in the job. And so what you do at first is say, well, my lead salesperson, he's the best person selling. Let me take him out of his job, create a course on how to onboard the new salespeople. And then I solve that problem because I need to scale sales. Or same with engineering. And or for all employees, then I need all of them to really understand my company, understand my history, and so on. So one of the solutions is for this problem is that, well, I'm going to go ahead and hire a company to create these courses for me. And so that I don't have to take any of my people away. And then you go into that and then realize, that takes still a lot of work, and it is expensive. A short digital course will cost you between $15,000 to $25,000. I have been as high as $50,000 for a digital course, and you do it once and that's it. You can't. That doesn't. Usually, you have to update courses every so often, and it doesn't really solve the problem of people getting to the course, because you still need a platform to put them, and also solve the problem to evaluate the learning, so don't see people actually learn. And so that's one path. Another path is the path I described before, which is I'm just going to take my functional leaders, my experts, and I'm just going to ask them to do their own courses for their own people. And they get out of their job. They realize that in a couple of weeks that this was a lot harder than they thought. And then they do the best they can with what they know, because translating expertise into training materials is not easy. It follows a particular process called instructional design, and people are not trained on being instructional designers. They cannot really do it on their own. So the consequences of this, the second approach, is that you take people away from their job, and they're not going to do a good job at creating the materials, and the materials are not really distributed in a good way. They put them in PowerPoint or slides and put them in different places on the network, and then you don't know who took them, who didn't take them, and whether or not they learned. And those materials are usually not updated, because the first time you go through it, then you don't want the second time to take your experts away from their job for so long, and they just continue to stumble in the job. The third way is that we're going to go ahead and go to a third party, and we're going to license content, because it's only $50 a month for Udemy or Coursera, whatever there is, which have great courses. But then when you put it in front of your people are like, well, yeah, it's good content, but it's not really applied to my particular job. It doesn't really apply for this particular company, for this particular industry. And that also falls short. So our solution takes kind of the second approach, but empowering the person to say, okay, where's your knowledge? Here's your knowledge. You have these manuals or these processes you already wrote, or this PowerPoint you already created, or you usually onboard people in this Zoom call, and then we can take the transcript, and we take that and put it through our platform, which is an instructional designer trained AI, and they create the course automatically for you. And puts them in our platform for people to take it. So it's all centralized. And then we have various sophisticated tools for evaluation of learning, what we call assessment. So now you also learn who they are. So we automated the process of creating the content and optimized the process of taking it and evaluating the learning.
You mentioned a couple of things which attracted, my attention. So mainly on the point about, I think you see this a lot, Luis. The required skills are changing very, very fast. So, and what is required today might not be valid maybe after, I would not say 1 year, maybe even less nowadays with the advancement of AI. So how are you seeing, this is regardless of the AI and the tech part, but just out of curiosity, Are you seeing like, and maybe technology can be used by the way this, are you seeing companies coming and saying, hey, like we want something that also can help us predict what should we be training the workforce after all, because we don't want to waste their time and waste our money as an organization giving them something which would be obsolete after a while. Are you seeing this trend?
We have not seen it yet. And although people have asked that question in regards to every learner in being able to not only assess what they know and where the learning gaps are so that we can create courseware or they can create for themselves courseware to cover those gaps, but also then predict what are the next skills that they should have. And as you said, the technology changes a lot. The landscape in all positions changed a lot. And so I don't know if today the right answer to that question is to predict what people are going to learn. I think the right answer is to say, well, how can I make the process so efficient that when the landscape change, then I can recreate the course very quickly so they can catch up with the new requirements.
I get you. Yeah, definitely. Like this is something I think still we need some time to see how it would go with them. So if I want also like to touch base on, like there are a lot of use cases, like you mentioned some of them, right?
Yeah.
So for AI and generative AI specifically. So if I want to find a way to narrow that little bit and, try to show the organizations a way to adapt it more, because the thing, especially in education, like, because you remember, Luis, maybe last year, and this happened in education. I mean, education as universities and, like schools, there was this debate about generative AI and, should we allow the students to use it? Should we not allow the students to use it? So if today we want, especially because we're talking education, to give the comfort for trainers, academic people, like, guys, calm down. Actually, there are some use cases you can yourself benefit from. Like, is there anything specific we can touch base on?
Oh, absolutely. So your question is a very good one. I often talk to educators about it. And every new technology in education has been always a dilemma of whether to adopt it. The reality is that the technologies are always adopted, regardless. So what I tell educators, especially traditional educators, is like, listen, I am old enough to remember when the calculator wasn't allowed in the classroom, and
Yes.
And they lost that battle. And then I also old enough to remember when the laptop wasn't allowed in the classroom, and that battle was also lost. And so this is just another tool that is coming to the classroom. Albeit it's a very powerful tool, an inflection point technology. And but I don't think the answer is to leave it there. The answer is to embrace it. And obviously with the limitations that we still don't fully understand the range of things that can happen in the utilization of the technology. But certainly we can have use cases in which both the instructor and the learner can benefit. And when the calculator was introduced, the evaluation changed. It didn't now had as much manual calculation in math problems when you had, and then the problems became deeper, more about a comprehension of the concepts and less about calculation. I believe that the same thing will happen here, is that the curriculum has to adapt to the areas in which you can take the learner to other places you couldn't before. And same with when the internet came in and the computer made it into the classroom, immediately made the instructor no longer the owner of the information. And but it turned it into the curator of the information. And so we've been to these transitions before, and I just think that we have to find the ways in which enriches the education, and instead of trying to stop it, because they will lose this battle every time. The educators will.
Yeah, definitely. Like, this is kind of a destiny for them. Now, if I want to, because I'm sure you do these conversations a lot, Luis. So what you do is part, focusing on the training for the organizations, right? So there must be a bigger picture that comes in when it, showing the benefits, and let's say talk a little bit the language of the business, ROI and TCO and these kind. Of course, like it differs from a technology to another, but like if today, let's say you're talking to a business owner rather than just the practitioners, I would say, like if we want to show them the ROI of what you're doing, what could be the message or what could be the point that you'll be focusing on?
So usually we see it in two places. First, not taking your expert from the field for to be able to be a trader, or not be, instead of being 30% of the time, being 5% of the time. So that's a immediate ROI when you get your expert back into what they do best. The second part of the ROI is getting folks ready for their job quicker. So when you don't have an effective training plan, and especially in positions that require specialized knowledge, if it's taking you 3 months for that person to be effective at their job, and you can cut that back to 1 month or 1 week or 1 day, and that's what the other ROI you will see it very quickly, and this is very tangible. The third place when there's a good ROI is in the retention of the employee, and if the employee, as a result of having better training, more relevant training to themselves, and I feel that the company is investing in them, they will tend to stay longer as well. And so I think the ROI is very tangible in at least 3 places.
Yeah, I think at some stage attrition was one of the main pain points for a lot of companies, especially in the startup phase specifically, because people tend to change a lot jobs, and they try to. The number one reason usually, I read like a couple of years back, it's like because the training, and we didn't get the things in the right way and so on. If I want to think about Luis, like in addition to AI, right? So what do you see like other technologies that can be coupled with the power of what we are seeing now in generative AI to, again, like come out with more beneficial outcomes? Or maybe we can think about merging generative AI with something to shorten even more the time for these trainings to be delivered. I don't know, like are you seeing any current trends in that aspect that are exciting you, I would say?
Yeah, absolutely. And I spent quite a bit of time in the gaming industry, and when I was at the university, Pulse University, because we were a pioneer university in educating in games. And so the whole area of gamification is very interesting for education. We have really oversimplified gamification in education, thinking that, well, gamification is like giving somebody a badge, and or just have throw some confetti now when you finish a task. And those are nice, but really using game design principles for motivation and for training as well. And it depends on what you're training for. But in step-by-step type of training, gamification works really, really well. And so that's one side of it's not really a technology, but a series of practices. The technology side, I think that reality technologies are very interesting as well for jobs that are sophisticated and very hands-on. And so AR or VR or XR or whatever you want to call it, and there are different ones that apply to different tasks, I think can be paired with artificial intelligence, can be incredibly powerful as well for trading. And if you combine that with gamification, even more. And I think that those three for specific jobs, I wouldn't use that for every single job, because not every single job requires you to immerse yourself or to see something on space. But there are jobs that they do, and I think those are very powerful technologies to combine with the ability to think and predict that AI gives you.
Yeah, definitely, Luis. I'm so excited about the power that AI can deliver, and to your point, and not, by the way, not only for education specifically. Like, we had a lot of discussions here on the show. In education, gamification is one of the points, and VR, like AR, is one, like, very interesting combination. It came, like, also very interesting in healthcare also as well, where you can compare both to that also as well. So really, really exciting times, I would say. Now, I know, like, you are like you were like lucky to find also supporters, and you raised a seed fund, if I'm not mistaken. So, and I'm asking this question because, again, people sometimes they just put the word AI for the sake of AI, but of course, with what you are doing is a completely valid case. But are you seeing, like, also an appetite in general from investors for use of AI in like specific niche more, or like they are looking for just the word generative AI and then things are done? And you know why I'm asking this?
Yeah, I know what you're asking.
You got my point.
Personally,
What I want to.
yeah, especially in our case, we have not seen the unsophisticated investors that would just throw money because they see the word AI in it. I mean, sure, those are out there, but in our experience, when in raising money, investors have been very aware of the difference between a AI native and AI sprinkled, if you will. The other part is that also can differentiate an application of a frontier model, and like we're doing, although we use several ones, and a large action model like what we have built, versus somebody claiming that they're going to create a frontier on edge model on their own. And there are applications that leverage existing frontier models that may take you nowhere, and some songs that actually very good at apply. We like where we are because we feel that we're solving a real problem for real organizations, and AI is the right tool for it. And it was not possible 2 years ago. And some of the problems that in learning that we get to solve today were not really possible before generative AI was available. And that's what's so exciting. But to answer your question, no, I have not seen those investors that are excited just because it's AI. On the contrary, they actually have become very skeptical about whether or not you're using the right tool for the right problem.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, Luis, you just also, you're touching on some points that are triggering additional questions in my mind, which is true, by the way. So, do you think what OpenAI they have done by releasing, the ChatGPT awakened the giant that was sleeping for a long time? Although, and people knows, I think the majority of people, they know that generative AI was existing, and ChatGPT was not new. Like, remember, it's version 3, but from you have like long experience in the field, Luis, yourself. What do you think what triggered all this to happen? And like, you are building something for education, people are building fantastic things across the board, but what was the trigger for this? Is it ChatGPT alone, or like do you think there were like some other factors playing a role here?
ChatGPT was certainly an inflection point in that, but AI was already. I mean, AI has been around for 50 years, and has been solving different kinds of problems over the years. But it has been accumulating use cases and being used for a very long time now. And I'll give you an example. When I was in college in the 90s, and I'm aging myself here, and growing up in Latin America, I remember that I helped the university I went to organize an artificial intelligence conference, and it was very small, and there were professors that came from several countries, and we had them in 3 days in a small auditorium, probably 50 people in total, talking about artificial intelligence back then, and this is in the 90s. I went to a AWS conference pre-pandemic, I think in early 2020, 21. No, actually pre-pandemic, so 18, 19, and 6 years ago. And I remember I wanted to learn more about cloud technologies. I was going to AWS. I couldn't believe how big it was. And then I go to an AI track. And the AI track was in a theater with thousands of people. And my mind went back to like, oh my God, in 30 years. And this has been grown immensely. And there was two kinds of folks. There were the folks that were creating the models and the folks that were using the models and applying them to use cases. So I think AI has been in our life for a very long time and very transparent to the world. I mean, and when you speak to Siri, there's AI there. When you're watching Netflix, there's AI there. When you use your camera, there's AI. So AI has been around for a very long time, but it wasn't really. It was very transparent to the end user. What happened with ChatGPT is like it puts it in the hand of the consumer in a very powerful way, and that definitely triggered an inflection point that it seems like AI is new, and even though it's not. But I think the difference is that it put it in the hands of the consumer in a very applied way, in a way that was not transparent, that is very magical to them in very tangible ways. And so I think that was the difference.
Absolutely, like it's like it got like very fast because also, and this is very interesting. Like they didn't have to run one single ad, I believe, to announce it. So, I mean, about ChatGPT here. And the people immediately figured out, oh, like this is something very useful. And because, again, it is something very useful indeed. Otherwise, people, and it's not like a social media site or app that people get excited about it for 10 days and then they turn it off or they just go back to their platforms. So this is because people start, oh wow, and I remember even myself, like I was a little bit like, okay, I knew that there were like some robbers running over the API of ChatGPT, but I was not honestly fascinated by them much until I see this one. I said, wow, like man, like this is really an inflection point in history, as you said. Now I still have a couple of questions for you, Luis, before before just You have a very rich and very varied career, like because you were like across multiple companies and even like some different domains as well. I'm really excited and all the time to learn from people like yourself, Luis. What is the motivation that keep pushing you to get this next things done, and especially in technology and education, which is something a little bit hard? So is it something like personal goals? Is it like more a project oriented way you do it to keep yourself excited?
Yeah, well, thank you for that question, and thank you for your kind word. And listen, I think our humans were very curious, and I think curiosity is really the cradle of a lot of innovation. And in my particular case, I also like I'm very driven to solutions, and so when something excites me, a curiosity, if I don't find an application for it, like you mentioned, and there's a lot of technology for technology's sake, and I don't appreciate solutions looking for problems, and which is a lot of things that we do in technology sometimes, and but I really do like to solve problems, and small problems, big problems, it doesn't matter. And I like the process of solving that problem, and probably even more than the solution. And because in the process is when you learn the most, and you solve other problems that you didn't know even existed. And at the end, you may end up in a different place that you started, but the process, it really gets you there. So for me, the idea of solving problems really is what gets me out of bed every single day, and to see what's possible out there. And it's a very exciting time to be living in technology. As a person who's been in technology for over 30 years, I think I've seen a handful of times in which you see a technology that becomes an inflection point, and like the personal computer and the smartphone, social media, we'll add it in there as well. Cloud technology is kind of in the background as well. I think that this become a very important inflection point. Also, because in the last 20 years, there have been an incredible way to combine technologies that didn't exist at the beginning of the modern technology. At the beginning of modern technology was very close architecture and very self-integrated solutions for everything, software and hardware. What we have observed in the last 20 years is that you are able to combine and you get a multiply effect on the solution and an ability to solve problems that were before weren't even possible to address. And so it's very, very exciting. And, when you think about those things, it's hard not to be excited every day about the possibilities.
Absolutely, and I think, maybe, Luis, like some people, why this is happening, it's faster than we want things to happen, blah, blah, blah. But, for me, and, I believe we are like me, because if you said like you were in college during the 90s, I think we're from the same generation, more or less. So it's the same thing for me, and technology excites all of us, especially when we see the benefit out of it. So to your point, absolutely, like this is the time to go and find, go do the next thing. And this is, here I will connect this to my last question to you today. Because as I was telling you before we start recording the episode, majority of the audience, they are people thinking to become entrepreneurs themselves, or they are founders, first-time founders. And with all the experience that you have, Luis, if you want to leave us like with final advice, like I call it word of wisdom. Some people, they don't like this, but for me, it's a word of wisdom. What you would tell us?
I think people have to be very aware of their time. And time is the one thing that is we all have the same. You have 24 hours in the day. I have 24 hours in the day. Bill Gates has 24 hours in his day. And I'm not naive to say that money saves you time and allows you to have more time, but it's still the same 24 hours. So if I were to tell somebody, I always wanted to be very aware of the time. And where are you spending your time? Because it's not stopping, and you only have 24 hours in the day. So I register every hour of activities that I do every single day. And so I'm aware where I'm putting my time. And if I put my time in the wrong place, it's not going to get me to my goals. Then I have to make adjustments. And that's one thing. The other part, so I'll give you three things. The second one is that rely on the wisdoms of those that love you unconditionally. And a lot of people ask me about mentors and things like that. And certainly there are people that I look up to, but when it comes to the decisions of what I do with my career or how I spend my time, I really rely on the people that love me the most unconditionally: my wife, my siblings, my parents, and that has worked out for me very well. The third is that if you're in a position to hire, you're privileged. Hiring is a privilege, so you should always take it very seriously, because in business, there's a lot you don't control. By the way, it's not enough to have a good idea and to work really hard. I know plenty of people that do those two things and don't reach their goals. Luck plays a very big role in everything that you do, but you can minimize risk. By hiring is something that is 100% on you. And controlling who comes into your organization, and it's on you. So take it very seriously. Acknowledge it as a privilege, and therefore give it the time that it needs, and pay close attention to who you bring with you into your dream or your organization, because that's the one thing that you actually can control.
Fantastic advice, I would say. Yeah, especially on the hiring. And I'm happy you mentioned this, because it's rarely mentioned. Of course, all of us, we know about it, but it's rarely mentioned. So thank you for reminding us, Luis, about that. Where people can get connected and know more about Pete?
We actually have the best domain in the world, pete.com.
Wow. Cool. That's nice.
pete.com. You can go there, read about us, and schedule a demo of our platform, and we're happy to serve you and see if we can help you reach your goals with our learning platform.
Fantastic. Again, Luis, really, I enjoyed the conversation with you today. It's very rich. For people who doesn't know, I worked in the education indirectly for some time. I was working in a university in the technology department. So this is something close to my heart also. Exactly. So thank you very much again. And this is how I end my episodes. This is for the audience. If you just discovered this podcast by luck, if you liked what you saw and heard today, please give us a thumb up and subscribe to the podcast. We are available on all podcasting platforms and on YouTube also as well. And if you are one of the loyal followers who keep coming and keep sending me their remarks, their comments, and their suggestions, please keep doing so also as well. I read all of them, and really I appreciate the time that you put to give me this feedback. And as I say, thank you again. We will meet very soon. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Hit that subscribe button. Share the show with your tech-savvy friends and fellow entrepreneurs. And leave us a review on your favorite podcast app. Your support means the world to us.